Hey guys, welcome back to Incognito. My name is Gautam and today we're going to learn about DOM manipulation. Let's get started. DOM manipulation involves interacting with HTML elements using JavaScript code. Doing so allows us to manipulate the element by changing its style, making it dynamic, or making it responsive to a button click. So now we have an HTML document over here which renders out these three elements on the HTML web page. The main elements are an h1 tag which consists of DOM manipulation, an h2 tag which consists of change me to something new, and a button which says click me. All of these have their own respective class names: header, change me, and button. We're going to use these class names in our JavaScript file to play around with. The first thing we're going to look at is the document.querySelector function. So the document.querySelector. So the document.querySelector takes in one parameter, which can be either the class name or the ID for a particular HTML element. And what this does is it simply refers to the HTML element whose ID or class name which we have passed into this. So now let's go back to our HTML file and let's say that I want to refer to DOM manipulation, which is basically the h1 tag. So we can see that the h1 tag has a class name of header. So now if I want to refer to this h1 tag, I will come back to script.js. I will come below this and first I'll declare a variable. I'll say const header is equal to document.querySelector, and then within quotes I will pass in the class name of header. So I'll copy that. Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll copy that and I'm gonna paste it over here. Now since the class name, we're gonna put a dot before the name. So now with this statement we are referring to the h1 of the HTML document over here. So now if we want to print the text value DOM manipulation to the console, I'll have to come over here and say console.log header.textContent. And now if I click save, we will see DOM manipulation in the console, which is this text over here. Notice how I didn't put any parentheses notice how I didn't put any parentheses in the text content over here. If you did put parentheses, this would not work. We would get an error, a type error. Header.textContent is not a function. So if it's not a function, we simply don't put parentheses. So again it continues to work. Now instead if we had given an ID instead of a class name for h1 like this, ID is equal to, let's not give JavaScript, header ID. Let's say something like this, and I still want to refer to the same element using the ID this time. I would not use dot, I would use a hash and say header ID. Now ideally this statement still refers to the same h1 tag in the HTML document, so therefore when this line executes, header.textContent should still print DOM manipulation. Let's save it and see what happens. We still do get DOM manipulation on the console. Now what if I want to change the content of some HTML tag? Let's take a look at this. This text says change me to something new. Let's go back to the HTML file, and the change me to something new is a part of the h2 tag, which has a class name of change me. So now I'm going to use the class name of change me to change the text value of the h2 tag to something else. So I'm going to come back to script.js and use the same method over here, .textContent. So I'm going to come below this and say document first I'm going to select the h2 tag which I want to change. So I'm going to say const header2 is equal to document.querySelector, and the class name was change me. So since it's a class name, I'm going to begin with a dot and then say change me. So now we are referring to this a header over here, h2. So now if I want to change the value, I will simply use .textContent. So I'll say header2.textContent and pass in a string and say hello world. So now when I save this should change to hello world. It has changed successfully. We don't always have to save the HTML tag within a variable. We can directly go ahead and say a document dot query selector and then pass in the class name. Let me just get rid of that. Pass in the class name of let's use change me again within quotes, change me. And then now let's say I want to change the content back to something else, or no, okay, not back to something else, so just change to something else. Now I'll simply say text content and then give it a new string value of changed again. So now let's if I save it, this should become changed again. Notice in this statement I have still changed the value of an HTML tag without storing it in a variable. So whenever users click buttons in responsive websites, the websites usually does something in return. So that is done using the click event listener. So there are multiple events which happen in a web, including the click. So including click, there can also be a mouse hover. There can be this thing. It can be a right click. It can also be there are multiple events which can be handled. So all these events can be detected and handled using the document dot add event listener. So now addEventListener takes in two parameters. One is the event which the element should listen to, and then another one is the function which will be executed if the event is heard. So now let's write some code for this button which will handle a click event. So now let's go back to the HTML and see that the button has a class of btn. So first I'm going to save the button in a variable. Const button is equal to document dot query selector and then pass in dot btn within the quotes. Now we are referring to the button click me. So now I want to simply print hello world to the console when the button is clicked. So first I'm going to write the variable button and then add an event listener to this button. Add event listener, and then remember I said that the add event listener takes in two properties, event and function. So the event I wanted to listen to is the click event, and then I will write a function. You can do this in either of two ways. You can write like this and then open a pair of curly braces, function within a pair of curly braces, or you can do an arrow function, which is what I prefer. There's an arrow function, and close that. Yeah, so now we have our event and our function. So when I click this, I wanted to print hello world on the console. So within the function body I will write console.log hello world. So now let's save it, and now when I click this, hello world should come to the console. Let's try it out. Hello world does come to the console, and if you keep on clicking it, the hello world keeps on printing multiple times. As we can see, this number increments every time I click. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now what if I want to change the value of a given HTML tag when I click on the same button? So now instead of writing console.log hello world in the function for the click event listener, I want to change this back to hello world. So we already have a variable which stores this HTML tag, and that's called header2. So within the function body of the click event listener, I will say header2 dot text content, and then change the value back to let's say hello world, this time with a capital W. So now let's save it, and then now when I click, this should change to hello world. Let's test this out. It does change, and if you click anywhere else, let's refresh the page again. If you click anywhere else, the text does not change, because the button is the click event listener will respond only if the button is clicked. So guys, that was it for this video. If you liked it, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. It would really help us out a lot, and thank you for watching.